Hey guys, so we're here. We're going to go see the Mario movie, the Mario Brothers movie, Super Mario Brothers movie, whatever you want to say. And I really don't know what to expect from this movie, other than I think at least visually, it's going to be very, very pleasing. I don't think the story is going to be anything special, um, but and I don't know how the voice acting is going to go with everything. I know everybody with the whole thing, Chris Pratt, yada yada yada. I kind of I don't know what to expect. Hopefully it all works out. Hopefully it's all fun and fine. I just want to have a good time. I want to have a better experience than I did when I was a kid, when I saw the original Mario Brothers movie for my birthday way back in the day. Yeah, so you know that's kind of just the beginning of this. I want to have fun. I know it's a kids movie and it's going to be more geared towards kids, and here I am in my 40s going to see this. But hey, this is what I grew up with. I grew up with playing these damn games. It was like I would say the very first video game I owned besides Duck Hunt, right? This was it. The first video game I ever played was probably Cubert, but this is definitely something it's all about nostalgia for me. And it already looks better, or more true, I should say. Not necessarily better than the old early 90s, late 80s Super Mario Brothers movies. So let's see what we get, and let's have some fun. Hey everybody, so I'm back from the Super Mario Brothers movie, and so thoughts. I don't know if we're gonna do. Uh, it's hard not to do spoilers for this because I want to talk about a lot of little things here or there. I'm gonna try to be as spoiler free as possible. So maybe minor spoilers. I'm not gonna give away like big plot points or other things, and I'm gonna try not to do that type of thing for this. I mean, there's not really much to give away. That's the thing, is like, oh, you can do all this, oh, no spoiler, blah 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 blah, all this stuff, but it's hard with a movie that's very basic and simple like the Super Mario Brothers movie. So I want to start with the things that I didn't like, and then go to the things that I did like. Maybe didn't like, we're fine, and then I did like. The pacing of the movie is that is probably the thing that I didn't like the most, and probably ultimately hurts the score that I would give this movie, because I get it. Movies don't have to be 2 hours long. You don't have to have a kids movie that's this long, and I know that it's a kids movie, so I'm a little more like forgiving in that regard in terms of the kids movie. There's Luna sitting over there, but I feel like they just were going from part to part to part to part to part. Yeah, hi Luna. Um, and she just came out of nowhere, and it felt like it was rushed, and they were trying to fit too much in, where maybe they could have like skipped an entire section of the movie and done something completely different, just to focus in on Mario. And what I'm talking about, that is all the Kong stuff. I think the Kong stuff didn't necessarily need to be in the movie, and I feel it was just put in just to have Donkey Kong be a part of the movie, where I'm kind of like, Donkey Kong and Bowser never really fight each other ever, but we're gonna put all the Kongs in there. Um, it just that section, while I get it, in terms of the movie and the growth of Mario for this movie, it made somewhat sense, and to be like, oh, it's nostalgic, it's Mario versus Donkey Kong once again, just like how Mario started. But I'm just not into it. I really am not. I just really am not. It could have been way better in that regard, and I think that you could have because like the basic premise of this is like Mario's introduction into the Mushroom Kingdom. So I get some of the stuff that goes on in the movie, and I get some of the stuff that goes in terms of like where we have to place everything and how we have to do everything with the Mario movie and introducing Mario into this world. I get all of that stuff, but I it's cool to see the stuff that they did with the set piece for it, and how it looked like Donkey Kong with all the different platforms and all the other stuff like that. Cool, I'm totally down with it, but you know, he doesn't seem like it's not Seth Rogen, okay? It's that the character itself doesn't fit in the space of this movie. I mean, it does and it doesn't at the same time. It's just like, cool, we're gonna put Donkey Kong in it. Cool. Okay. But yeah, it just really like literally Mario, they get sucked into the world, and then it just jumps from there to, oh, we're meeting Peach, and oh, he's gonna train for like a little bit to prove that he's good enough to go with her. Oh, we're going here. Oh, we're going there. Oh, we're going this, and then that's the where it gets to that point, right? The other thing, and it goes back to the Kong section, is that Cranky Kong, Fred Armisen did not do a good job as Cranky Kong. The voice and the style of voice and how he did it, I just don't get it, and it sounds like he's trying to do like almost not quite stereotypical like old Jewish man, but he's trying to get into that realm, and it doesn't work for Cranky Kong to me. Like Cranky Kong is more like, to me, is like you young whippersnappers type of Cranky Kong. Like, I'm the original, I'm the old school Donkey Kong, and you kids today aren't doing it the right way. That's where I want to hear kind of like the voice, and that's the voice that's like in my head for that. And just how he does it doesn't necessarily need to be there. The other stuff is the Mario Kart stuff. The whole sequence is fucking beautiful and cool, but I could have done without it. And the fact that, and maybe this is a minor spoiler, but the Kongs are the creators of the carts, or the Kongs have all the carts, is weird. I don't know if I like that. I thought the them picking out their carts, that part was cool. And really, those are the biggest things that I have wrong with the movie. Like, I feel the pacing is just, it's too, like, it jumps too fast between set piece to set piece, and then it's just like, if you want to get down to it, I know this is a kids movie, right? But and it's gonna be cool for the people that have grown up like me, that have grown up with Mario, and you're gonna see all these really cool little Easter eggs and all these other little cool things that is going to make you really enjoy the movie in general. But to those that are just, say, taking their kids because their kids want to go see this colorful kids movie and it's Mario, kids like Mario, they're not going to have that great of a time, I feel. So I can see why critics rate it so low, because it's not like, I can't compare it to a Pixar movie, right? And this has to do, I think, with the studio, with Illumination, right? Where something like Despicable Me, the very first one, is super smart, super funny, has those annoying fucking minions in it, but at the same time, it has enough for the parents to be like, cool, this is funny, there's all these little references, that's great. But you don't have to be, you don't know what Despicable Me is, right? And so you don't have to have a connection to make it a enjoyable movie. Because these people, a lot of people that are seeing this, have a connection to Mario in some way, shape, or form. Like me, I don't have kids. I go with my friend and my cousin. Neither of them, they don't have kids. And the difference with my other cousin, who does have two young girls who loved it, they get to share that experience. And I think that if I had like nephews or children, and I could share my love of Mario and the world of Mario with them, and they have new eyes to it or fresher eyes than I do, and it's current Mario stuff versus me with the old Mario stuff, cool. I think this is completely fucking awesome, and I would rate it way higher than I think that I do. But it's not a failure. That's the one thing I want to get straight. Just for me, it's the pacing. It's how it is definitely geared more towards kids than anything else. And if I have to look at it with that eye, I would be more in the critics' favor. But I don't have to look at everything in that eye. I get to look at it as also a fan of Mario. So what would be the good? The stuff that I liked that I didn't think that was that bad, and it worked. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Liked it. I don't think it's great, but I think it's better than people are giving him credit for. There are some people that just hate it. Don't like him, think he's as bad as Cranky. Not as bad as Cranky. I think it's just Seth Rogen. I think he did a great job as Donkey Kong. It fit the personality of like Donkey Kong Country to me. That's my personal opinion. Chris Pratt, he's fine. Everything about it, I liked it. I didn't think it was the greatest. It still sounded at times like he was bored. But a little after a while, as you got into it, and he did do some of the Mario stuff, and they did a good job at the very beginning of the movie when you get introduced into the Mario Brothers, where they're making like he's doing the voice like Mario, and then as they come out of this commercial, which is cool because they use the Super Mario Brothers Super Show song in it, that you get into all of a sudden now they transition a little bit and they actually make fun of the fact that, and then you have, which is great, you have the original voice actor for Mario, whose name fucking escapes me. You know, he does a couple lines right there, and he does a couple lines at the end of the movie, and that's fantastic. And then and that's kind of like the good stuff, in it. And I would say some of the so like the intro is good, but the problem is that they basically showed it all in the first trailer, and I really wish they had saved some of the things. And I think Luma is fine. I think it's good, but I think it overstays its welcome just a little bit. So I would put that in the good category when she shows up, and you've seen her in the trailers, and she's talking about like, oh, we're all just gonna die. Like she's like this happy but depressing little star that's there. And in the use of the star in general, the superstar. I think it was good and it has a good outcome with it, but I'm just kind of like, I wish there was more. I wish there was more Bowser that was in it. That would be part of the bad. That Bowser should be doing more, I feel like, in it. And then the other good that I have is the way that you had the portrayal of Peach. I know going into it, there are a lot of people like, oh, why is Luigi got to be the damsel in distress and blah, blah, blah. It fits Luigi in terms of the way the character is, so I'm perfectly fine with it. And a lot of times in these games, when it's just Mario, Luigi has been captured in some way, or he's like there, but he's not completely there. So it makes sense. It is a single player experience, but he still loves his brother, and that's what comes across in this movie. With Peach being like a strong character right away, you kind of get into this world of, oh, why can't she be the damsel in distress? But there is a point for it where they use stuff from Mario Odyssey to make it work in that direction. I don't want to say what, but if you played Mario Odyssey, you kind of know what I'm talking about and why Bowser takes Peach. And then towards the end of that game, what happens in that game, you kind of get that same feeling. And the thing is it's not like Peach is always a damsel in distress, because she has her own game for one. Two, Super Mario 3D World, which was a Wii U game where you can play as her the entire time. Super Mario Brothers 2, you can play as her the entire time, and she has her own special abilities, and she does a lot of really cool things. And actually in Super Mario Brothers 2, she was my favorite person to play besides Luigi, because Luigi could jump really high, and then she got to float, and floating helped with a lot of levels, helped with a lot of difficult stuff. I didn't really care about Toad, who is my favorite Mario character. Period. Toad is my favorite Mario character. Out of every Mario character that has ever been made, that has ever existed, Toad is number fucking one. And, I didn't care for him in Mario 2. But in other games, he's been fine. Treasure Tractor, he's fucking great. And so I think it's good. I think that it wasn't a ton of in your face girl power type stuff. But, I could see where some people, in terms of, I want to say this, I want to preface this. There are two types of people, okay, that would be upset by it. Ones that are assholes. Complete and utter assholes. Those guys, whatever. Those guys, gals, people, whatever they are, okay? That's just, I don't think that you should be mad that they're showing a strong woman, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Be mad at me if you want, whatever. But then there are the other people, the people that want to respect the lore, okay? That want to respect what you have in terms of the games and how the games play out, and keep it as close to that as possible. Why wouldn't you make it so that, there is a joke about the princesses in another castle, but it's not in regards to her being rescued by Mario and then having to continue on and doing the Mario thing. I get that. That part I do totally understand, and I too do at the same time wish that they would do. I agree with that aspect of it. But this didn't bother me. And I didn't think that it was that much of a big deal. And the way that they did some of the stuff, I'm totally okay with. Because it made me think more of Odyssey than anything else. Okay, so I've got that out of the way. Now, what did I really enjoy the movie? I really like Peach. I think Anna Taylor-Joy did a really good job I think that she was awesome. I really do. I think Charlie Day did a fantastic job as Luigi. I wish Luigi was in it more. I wish Luigi had a mansion section where, he has a section with dry bones, which was great. But I think Charlie Day is an excellent fucking Luigi. I really like when I heard about that casting. I'm like, yep, that is a good voice for Luigi. His voice kind of has the high pitch, kind of Luigi-ish tones, and so I think that it fits and it works. Bowser, fucking Jack Black nails this shit. That is Bowser. That is hands down Bowser. I like what they did with the character. I liked how they did the turnaround with him, and it's like that I'm gonna ask her to marry me, type thing. There's a spoiler. And the song that he plays is so great. I just think that he knew what he was supposed to do. He knew how he was going to do it, and he's not like completely like Jack Blacking it. Does a little bit, but he definitely more Bowser's it than Jack Black's it. I think that he nailed it. Keegan Michael Key, you motherfucker, you were an excellent fucking Toad. That is the perfect fucking casting for me. Perfect casting. My favorite character in this movie, my favorite character in the Marioverse. He was so good, so good. And from the original trailers, I'm like, maybe not. Toad was great. Toad did some great things in this movie. Toad, he was perfect enough to where not to be annoying. He had really funny scenes in it. He had some great little pieces of dialogue. I loved the fact they kept calling Mario his best friend and everything. And it was just a well done character. It was a well written character. It was a well acted character. Dude, fucking nailed it. The world is so fucking cool. Okay, from the moment that you step into this world where you're in the ice world for the first part of it, which again is in the very first like full trailer that they released, and I'm actually still upset about that. Two, when you get into Brooklyn and you go into the Punch Out Pizzeria and you see all the fighters on the wall and everything like that. Oh, it's so cool. And then all of a sudden, all the references. When they turn it into a 2D section and he's doing the jump and they arrive at the castle restaurant and they jump on the flagpole and he spins down and it's like he's finished the level. It's cool. All those little nuances in it are so fucking cool. And there's a ton of them all over the place. I do not want to be like, hey, here's all the stuff, all the things that are out there. It is such a sight to see when you see all the stuff, when you notice these little things, when you have little weird character cameos that just randomly show up and you end up looking for it, but you can still pay attention to what's going on because it's very simple, but you look in the background to see all the other stuff that they've got, from, when they're collecting the coins to everything on the table at the end of the movie, all this stuff that goes on there. So cool. And that's where it's like, that's where it hits for me, where it goes above, because the connection to it, Mario itself, a Mario game is not a very like in-depth story. Even something like Odyssey is not an in-depth story. It's still fun and it's still basic. The whole thing is the gameplay. It's the world. It's the puzzling. It's the platforming. It's all of that stuff. And in that regard, the Mario Brothers movie fucking nails it. It nails it really well. So overall, I have to give this movie. Now, I have to do both. There is enough for me to be like, it's good without being great, but it's not at the point where it's like terrible. That's why this movie, it gets a 3 out of 5 cat suits. Okay? It does a good job at making you feel lived in this world. If I was going to do this out of 10, it'd be like a 7 out of 10. Okay, so it would be a little bit better score, 70%, if you were to put it at that type of level. I know some people are going to be like, this is a 9, this is a 10, and this is a... I think the things for me that are negative, it brings it down enough to where it's like, like I dreaded every time that Cranky Kong was on the screen. I was just like, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. I every time when we were in the Kong Land, I could not get into that area. Yeah, the Mario Kart stuff's cool. I get it. and that sequence is really cool. But why? It's not Mario. I mean, it is Mario, but I wish that we just stayed in the Mushroom Kingdom. I wish that we got more of Bowser, and Bowser maybe attacking and doing those things, and Mario actually maybe even failing against Bowser. Yeah, of course, he does kind of fail against Bowser at one point, in the movie, and then he's got to come back and he's got to do the other stuff and all those things. But I really feel that it needs to have, maybe more. Maybe he does come in and does what he does with the princess earlier than it should be. So there is a little bit of that. It's not completely just that, Luigi is just missing most of the time, more often than not. And, I just, but the ending of it is so great, and the ending shows why it's the Super Mario Brothers, which is really cool. So there's so much in this movie, and there's so much that you could talk to, and make sure that you stay for the two. There's two after credits things, one that's in the middle and one that's at the very, very end of the credits. Make sure that you stay for them if you're going to see the movie. But it's definitely worth your time. I think that if you're a fan of Mario Brothers, if you feel like you were burned by the Super Mario Brothers movie back in, I think it was, they said 93, when I was like, oh, late 80s, early 90s, so still early 90s. But if you were burned by that type of thing back in the day, it's not your bag. This is going to make up for it. And I think that what the coolest thing I can say is that it is made for kids. It's totally made for kids. And the thing is that every kid in this theater was so hyped about it as they left it. And that just warms the cockles of my heart, because it did what it set out to do. And it will make the Mario fan very happy. But the thing is that now you have a new generation. So you have parents that can connect with their kids over a silly animated movie about an Italian plumber that they grew up with and now their kids are growing up with. And that's fucking cool. So I give it props on that. It may not be the Mario movie that everybody in the world wanted, but I think right now it's kind of the Mario movie that we need, and it's a great way to bridge the gap between the young generation of new gamers and new, and moviegoers, and to the old gamers and the old moviegoers. So, yeah. So, what'd you guys think? Why don't you let me know down in the comments below? If not, just go ahead and if you like the content, give a follow, all that fun stuff. Make sure that you ring the bell. And then, there's going to be some new podcasts coming out soon. There should be one the following weekend. And I know that I've been behind, and you're probably getting two reviews about the same time. One for John Wick Chapter 4 and one for the Super Mario Brothers movie. So if you haven't checked out that one, make sure that you come back or you go over there, check out that review. So thank you guys so much for watching. And, as always, take care of yourselves and each other. And woohoo!